Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Brian Tracy Inner Circle Legacy Mastermind session. It's great to be here with you. Sean says, I have no volume. Can anyone else hear what's going on? We just started. There was no volume until now. Can you guys hear and see me okay? It's probably more important that you hear me okay because I'm not much to look at. And, anyway, I won't get into that. But all right. We good to go? Everybody, we got everything? Okay, so let's get started. What I'd like to do first is a process that I love doing and I've used in all of my businesses for a long time. And it was actually developed by my wife, so I got to give her credit for it. And it's something we call the 4 principles. And it's something that we start all meetings with. And I thought it would be perfect to start this one with because we're just getting to know each other for the first time. So before I get started with that, though, let's do a quick roll call. So if you can go ahead and say hi in the chat. I see we got Sean is here, Ronald, Alice, Mimi, Bjorn, Ron, who's hopefully can hear something now. Couldn't hear anything before. But if you haven't announced yourself, go ahead and say hi in the chat. And be cool is where you're from. Put in where you're from so we can get to know like geographically where everybody's logging in from. I love I was at Brian's house, I think last week, and it was really cool seeing everybody from all over the place. All right, we got Michael from New Braunfels, Texas. Awesome. Scotland. Mimi from Scotland. I need to come to Scotland. I've not been there. I've been to all over that island, but not to Scotland. So we got Ronald Peoria, Illinois. Sean Edgar from Tucson, Arizona. Bear down. I am a U of A, University of Arizona alum. Sean, so good to see you. Hi, Mimi. I can see you. Let's see what else we got. Larry from Washington, D.C. Another place I've never been to before. Bjorn is in Montana. I'm jealous. Never been there either. Alice, Ontario, Canada. I've been there many times. Naomi from Barraquette, California. Where's that? I don't know where that is. Sean says, good, go Wildcats. Absolutely. All right, so let's start the process. First of all, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. And what I want to try to do today is bridge the gap between myself and you. Okay, and what I mean by that is, I have like a lot of experience, a lot of things that I've done, and you have things that you want, but I'm not sure how to marry those together. So what I hope to accomplish today is to give you kind of the backstory of my history, maybe give you some useful tools or information along the way on how that history has helped me and in how some of my adversity has caused growth. And maybe I can share some of my pain as well. Because, one of the most valuable things that I have going for me is millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of mistakes, probably tens of millions of dollars worth of mistakes. If there's a mistake, I've made it, which is good because, you can learn through success and you can learn through pain. But if you can learn through somebody else's pain, that's always a really good thing. So let's start the process. The process is called the 4 principles. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put the answers to these questions in the chat box. I'm not going to bring people on video during this. Otherwise, we will absolutely just be stuck for an hour doing just this one thing. So I want to do it in the chat box. What I want you to do is put this in the chat. First step in the process is, what is your clear goal for this meeting? What do you want to get out of it? And this is your time to be selfish. Like, what do you want to get? At the end of this meeting, what will have made it worth your time and your attention to get here and be here? Because your time is valuable and my time is valuable and I honor your time. So what is it you want to get? Okay, Alice wants to get some ideas on how she can grow her business. Well, Alice, you're in luck. I love and am passionate about growing businesses. And that is my favorite thing to do. So what else? I already stated my clear goal. I'll restate it while you guys are chatting. My clear goal is to bridge that gap. So you understand my background, kind of where I came from, what I've done, and what my skill set is so that you can leverage my skill set to help yourself. Okay. Sean says he says in agreement with Allison. Great. Online course launching from Barraquette. All right, Barraquette, I got good news for you. There probably aren't too many people as good at that as me on the planet. So you're in the right place. That's good. And Michael says, learn a Lanny mistake I don't have to make myself. Good. So Michael, at the end of this, you're gonna have to tell me what the big mistake is that you learned from, because I'm gonna share some stuff. Like I'm gonna give you the good, bad, and the ugly. It's not gonna be all roses and puppy dogs. There's a lot of trouble along the way of building businesses and being an entrepreneur. All right, anybody else? I feel like we're missing a bunch of people in the chat window because that was like 6 people and I see 18. So don't be shy. What's your clear goal? And then if you want to, just write it down too, or put it in a notepad so you can kind of look back at this. Like hopefully 3 years from now, you'll look back at this first meeting and start laughing. Go, remember that first meeting when I didn't know how to build these sales funnels and grow my business, and now it's completely automated and I'm sitting on the beach somewhere and in Bora Bora, and I had that silly clear goal back then. All right, Mimi says, to extend my distribution business to retail online with lawn and garden pottery. Very nice, awesome. Nikki says, sorry, just had tech issues, just got sound. Welcome to the sound, Nikki, glad to have you. And what's your shirt say? Does that say Harvard? I can't see. Anyway. Larry wants 10 rules from Lanny Morton to launch and succeed an online business. Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. And Mimi says, I'd like to join you on the beach. Sounds good. I would love that. Let's have a big celebration, all of us. 3 years from now, we're all in Bora Bora laughing about our journey and grateful for the experience that we've had. One of the things I've always wanted to do, Mimi, is I've always wanted to get a group of people that created success together and go to the outer islands of the Bahamas. My wife and I, we did a trip one time and we rented a boat. So we had our own little 26-foot boat and we were island hopping in the outer islands of the Bahamas. And a lot of these islands don't have cars, they just have golf carts. And you can literally go from island to island to island to these little restaurants and things all over. It's an amazing experience. And the water is like this crystal blue water that is the clearest water I've ever seen. And it's about 4 or 5 feet deep for miles. So you can be out in the middle of the ocean, chest deep in water. It's really cool. So if you get hot, you just stop, drop anchor, and jump in the water. It's really cool. So maybe we can do that. Nikki says, my goal is to understand more of what it takes to start an online presence from a standing start. Okay, good. So you're just getting started. And Layla, did I say that right? Let me know if I said that right. I decided to start a new business today. I have no idea how, but I took the first step today. Congratulations. The first step is exciting. And Nikki says, yes, Harvard Business School. So did you go to Harvard Business School? If so, I'm gonna run in sheer fear and terror. No, I'm just kidding. The funny thing, it's one of the things I'll probably talk about is just like how textbooks can't keep up with what's happening on the internet. For a textbook to get into circulation, I think it takes 2 to 3 years for a textbook to get into the colleges. And in what's happening now, 2 or 3 years is too late. Like everything's already changed, and what was working 2 or 3 years ago doesn't work anymore. All right, let's move on to the second one. So first one's clear goal. Thank you for that. That really gives me a good idea of where everybody's at. The second one is others focused. So I want you to share how you're going to be others focused during our time together. How are you going to be others focused during our time together? And my others focus is that I'm going to give the best that I got and not hold anything back as far as information goes, even if it's ugly, even if it's unflattering. And that I'm going to be others focused also by being very honest. All right, go ahead and put it in the chat. What's your others focus? If you could. And Barakat says, what do you mean? Okay, so here's what I've learned over the years. When I'm thinking about what my contribution is going to be, I always make more money and my business grows. Okay, so the first thing we're asking is, what do you want to get? The great thing about asking about what you want to get is now we have a clear expectation of what we're going to get out of this time together. So the next part is, now I'm going to shift your focus to somebody else and say, how am I going to help these people that I'm here with? Because when you're in a energy or a mode of service and a mode of being others focused, the results always get better, and our time together will be better. Nikki said, allowing time and patience for others to have questions answered, even if I'm impatient and want to monopolize your time. That's great. I love it. Anybody else? Help them release what holds them back. Cool. Listen to everyone with an open mind. Oh, Alice, I love that. That is like listening with an open mind is I love it. Bjorn had to Google it. That's funny. Mimi, by sharing experience and struggles as a small business owner. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Mimi. All right, we'll move on to number 3. And if you haven't typed in, don't be shy. You can still type in. If you're driving, don't worry about it. Number 3 is gratitude. What are you grateful for? Lila says, sharing experiences and motivating. What are you grateful for? Gratitude is an energy shifter. I can't talk. It changes the energy of things. You know, whatever the source is for you, gratitude is a direct connection to the source. Sean says, my wonderful admin, she's amazing. Barakat says, grateful for you and the rest of the group. Bjorn says, Brian Tracy, first time I went to seminar was in '86. Awesome. Good health and great sisters. Love it. A day gig that allows me to participate in learning opportunities like this. Awesome, Michael. Love it. Ron says, fantastic opportunity to learn directly from all you folks. I'm grateful I am alive each day. Awesome, Mimi. That's something to be grateful for. And Alice says, opportunity to be a part of the inner circle. Awesome. Love it. Okay. Last one is unwavering faith. So unwavering faith is a statement, and it'll be something like this. Okay. So when I go to unwavering faith, my unwavering faith for this looks like this. I have unwavering faith at the end of this meeting, everybody involved is going to go, wow, that was worth my time. That's my unwavering faith. It could be an unwavering faith to a result that you're hoping for. It could be unwavering faith towards anything. But the last one is unwavering faith. Go for it. Put it in the chat window, and then we'll get going. Larry says, grateful for being a part of the incredible group and excited for what we're going to achieve. Awesome. Love it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Anybody? Are we getting writer's block right here? How do I get it? Alice, unwavering faith that I have chosen the great group that will help me get to where I want to go. Yeah. Bjorn says, repeat 4th again, please. Is unwavering faith, Bjorn. Mimi says, unwavering faith, trust that I am in the right place, the right time, and I will have fun along the way. I love that. Making money and building businesses should be fun. Tammy says, I'm really confused what the agenda is for today's meeting. Tammy, did you come in late? Because I clearly stated what the clear goal was. The clear goal is for us to bridge the gap. What I'm hoping to accomplish today is to bridge the gap between what you need and what I know. Because I could just start telling you all sorts of crazy cool stuff, and you might just look at me like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So really, today's all about figuring out where you're at, and then also sharing my story so you understand what my skill set is, so you know how to leverage my skill set. Okay? So does that help you out, Tammy? That's really a fancy way of saying it's going to be story time, basically, with some stuff built in that's going to be tangible and help you. Okay. All right. Let's see. Who did I miss? Nikki says that I'll achieve life goals I set 4 years ago. Cool. Can't wait to hear what those are. Barakat says, at the end of the meeting, I will know more about online launching. Okay, that's something I'm really, really good at. However, I don't think that we'll get into the detail. That's like a whole session on its own, and probably actually multiple sessions on doing a launch. And I've done multiple $1 million launches, so that is something I can help you with, but I don't think you're going to get that today. I'm so sorry, but we will get to it. Unwavering faith that there will be eyes openers during the session, and we will learn from an expert. God, I hope I'm an expert. I've been doing it a long time. Ron, to come away better than an hour ago. Bjorn, unwavering faith, confident I have stepped up one step from where I was at this morning. I have faith that I took the right decision. Becoming part of this program will help me achieve my dreams. Layla, I hope I couldn't agree more. I love that. I'm going to do my best. What my part in it is, I will do my very best. Sean says, knowing your skill set would go a long way to figure out what we're talking about. Exactly. So I'm going to get into that. Michael says, I'm cheating, but I like memes. Love it. You know what? There's nothing wrong. Michael, that's modeling. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with modeling something that works. So you saw memes, you're like, hey, that worked. I'm going to model that. I love that. And support says to me, are we also going to talk about biology of the habit? Yes, we are going to talk about that. That will be woven into what we're talking about. Okay, let's get started. So what I want to do is I'm going to tell you my story. And I'm going to tell you stuff I've never told anybody before. Because as I was kind of like building out like what is my story and what's valuable in it and what might be valuable for you, some stuff came up. And I was like, God, I've never shared that before. And I don't think I've ever been so honest about my backstory. So I'm going to tell you about some criminal activity, some things that I did that weren't so good when I was younger, the whole journey in business, and some personal stuff. So just where I came from, I grew up in Minnesota. I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, actually Golden Valley, Minnesota, in 1968. So I'll be 50 years old in a few months, 2 or 3 months, in October. Everything in my childhood was amazing. Like I didn't have any problems. I played hockey. I was, a happy kid. Life was perfect. And then when I was 12 years old, my dad's name, I never really understood what my dad did. My dad was super entrepreneurial. He was a super like wheeler dealer. He'd look at the classified ads and what people are trading. He would trade stuff. He owned buildings. He did all kinds of crazy stuff. As a kid, I never understood it. And then when I was 12 years old, his name was on the front page of the paper, and it was David Morton, indicted for 2 counts of fraud. And I was like, didn't even know what that meant. And like, I'm not kidding you, like a week later, the moving van showed up. And we were transplanted to Arizona in August of all times. So I go from Minnesota, happy kid, life is great, I have no problems, to my dad is being indicted, which I don't even know what that means. I'm in Arizona, it's 120 degrees. It was literally 118 degrees. And then I don't know if you've ever been to Arizona, but in the summer, these locusts make this noise, this like hissing noise, this super loud hissing noise. I thought all the locusts were rattlesnakes. So I totally thought I was going to die. I was like, I am going to die. They're everywhere. And it was a tough transition, and it happened very fast. Then a year later, my dad and my mom divorced, and my dad went to prison. He got, Sean says they're singing now, and it's only 109 degrees today. Yeah, my dad went to prison when I was 13 years old. And I was thinking about, there was, in a lot of the adversity that I faced in my life, there's always been something that's come out of it that's been really positive. So the reason I share that is because when my dad went to prison and my life kind of went to crap, and I was just a hopeless kid. I was a hopeless 13-year-old who was just devastated. And then my mom, I loved my mom, but it was, she was single for the first time at like age 33, and she was out drinking and partying and having a good time. Finally, I moved in with my grandparents, and a friend of mine had an Apple II Plus computer. And there was something about that computer that was my escape. It was like the place that I went, okay. And I got really, really good at using that system, and figuring it out and playing in it and programming on it and doing some really pretty cool stuff. I mean, it was like it was really, to be honest with you, it was an addiction. I mean, it was like I was masking pain with this thing. Now I've figured this out. Like, I just figured this out like months ago. I was like, you know what? I was addicted to it. But I got really good at it. And then when I was about 15 years old, my dad actually got out of prison, and to get me to move in with him, he bribed me with a new Apple IIe computer with a color monitor. Now, color monitors back then, that was a big deal. Like, if the monitor had colors, it was like, oh my God, there's colors. And at that point in time, I'd gotten into, some of you are probably too young to remember this, but the way that computers connected back then was through modems. You know, we had modems, and you'd actually call the other computer on the phone. You'd grab your phone, you'd dial the number, you'd put the phone down, you toggle the switch, and you'd put the phone down, and it would go and make that noise, and then you were connected, right? So my first modem was a 300 baud modem, 300 bits of audio per second, or bits of information per second. It was slow enough that you could read what was coming over at 300 baud. And I actually ended up starting two different, what was called bulletin board systems. Bulletin board systems were a precursor to the internet. So before the internet happened, people would use bulletin board systems, which was basically a system that was set up to receive incoming dials from other modems and other computers, and then the computers would talk to each other. And I started two different bulletin board systems. One was called the Garden of Eden, and the other one was called oh God, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, the Garden of Eden was a storehouse of information. I would take like current news and events and put it in there. And I would have boards where people could talk and do different things and communicate about different topics. And it was kind of like a Yahoo-ish type of thing before Yahoo, if that makes sense. And only one person could be in at a time. So somebody would have to call in when there wasn't somebody on it and actually get in. And it was busy 24/7. Like, it was 3 in the morning, that thing was going. It never stopped. And I charged, I don't remember what I charged, but it was my first continuity program. Continuity or recurring revenue is the most magical thing in business. You know, revenue that occurs over and over and over again. I charge monthly. I think I charged like $3 a month. And then I think I charged like $20 for the year. And every time somebody sent me money, I would laugh. I was like, I can't believe they're sending me money. This is funny. Like, I thought it was hilarious. And then the other bulletin board system I had was actually a fighting game where people would log in and they would fight each other. And ironically enough, I had that second system. The first system was on a 36 megabyte hard drive that I paid $4,000 for. If you can imagine, 36 megabytes, $4,000. If you think about, like, there isn't even anything that exists that's only 36 megabytes anymore. You know, the phone, this is I don't know how many, gigs this is, but if you do the math, it's astronomical. And then the other hard drive I bought was a Corvus 10 megabyte hard drive, and it cost several $1,000s as well. Ronald says, is this a test? I'm not sure what that means. And Ron says, what a difference a few decades make. Yeah, it's incredible. So I started those two bulletin board systems. Most of what I did was legit, and then I also did some stuff that wasn't legit. The stuff that I did that wasn't legit is me and some guys. We had boards that were open to the public, and then we had private boards that people couldn't access without passwords, password protected boards. And we did a lot of hacking. So not proud of that part of my history, but I was a hacker in the 80s. So we would, like war games where it's like, command prompt and then you try to get in. We did that. Like, I would set up my dialer when I went to school. I'd set up what was called a demon dialer. And the demon dialer would find computers. And then once we got a computer, I'd post it in the board, and we'd all, as a team, basically try to get through the command prompts to get to different access levels. So anyway, that's what I did in high school. I barely made it. I barely graduated from high school. I graduated with a 2.06, which is just, that's like, if I'd have gotten one more D, it would have been in the D range. And I definitely didn't have the grades to get into college, but I had a guidance counselor who believed in me. And I actually turned things around. Like my senior year, my freshman year when my dad was in prison, I failed everything. Sophomore year, he was in prison. I didn't do much better, but my senior year, I did pretty good. And the guidance counselor knew somebody at University of Arizona and said, hey, give this kid a chance. So I went to University of Arizona. I didn't study computers there because, to be honest with you, the computer classes frustrated me. I took computers in high school, and the teachers didn't know anything, and the books they were using were ridiculous. Like, it was like we were so far ahead of what they were teaching that the teacher would actually have me program stuff for him. He's like, hey, can you program something that gives me car payment amortization? I'd be like, sure, no problem. Boom, I'd program it. So I really didn't have any interest in studying computers in college, so I didn't. I studied finance. And to be honest with you, I just drank a lot. I didn't get much out of the college experience. And when I look back at college, it was probably did more harm than good for me, because I bought into that whole get an education, get a job, and have a career mentality. And I think that really set me back. So I was like really entrepreneurial, and I bought into this kind of bogus mindset that they teach in school. And I think that really set me back. So I ended up, but everything happens for a reason. So I don't regret any of it, because it all put me on the path to where I'm at today. So when I got out of college, I got a job at a printing company. It was called Woods Lithographics. And it was probably the most expensive printer in the country, and maybe even in the world. Did unbelievable brochures, annual reports, these really fancy print jobs. And I worked in production, and in production for these guys, because I graduated at the crappiest time when all the corporate downsizing was happening. I wasn't really very good at interviewing. So I had job interviews, and I would kind of, basically sucked. So I had like an $8 an hour job at a printing company. But there was a lot of value in that. I was working 70, 80 hours a week, and it taught me what was possible from an effort level. Like I didn't know that I was able to, I didn't know I was able to do that, if that makes sense. Like I didn't know I had that in me. And sometimes like that adversity, it's like, wow, I did that. That was cool. But the one thing, there's a couple things I look back at that experience and I'm really grateful for. One is, there was a poster in the break room. It wasn't even a poster. It was a vinyl laminated banner, and it was by Aristotle. And it said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. I'll say that one more time. It's Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. And when I first saw that in the break room, I was like a snot-nosed 22 or 23-year-old kid with an attitude. I was like, that's stupid, that's dumb. And I saw that thing every day, multiple times a day for 2 or 3 years. And something about that banner sunk in. And I'll segue to make Stephanie happy, because she keyed up habits, and we got to talk about habits. Brian talked about habits last week, and one of the things that she wanted me to cover is the biology of a habit. The biology of a habit is like, have you guys ever heard it takes 21 days to create a habit? Has anybody ever heard that? That's actually not true. It's true and it's not true, and I'll tell you why. A habit is nothing more than a dendrite or a neural pathway, okay? They're actually neural pathways that are actual habits. And 21 days is enough time to start a workable neural pathway, but it's not nearly enough time to start like a real solid foundation of a neural pathway that becomes automatic. So when I think about habits, think about something you do every day. Like if you drive your car, do you remember when you were 16 and you drove your car and you were thinking about every move, you're checking every mirror, you were doing every single thing when you're driving that car at 16, and now it's like you don't even think about it. You have a cup of coffee, a piece of pizza, you're driving with your knee, and it's autopilot. And have you ever done this where you like drive somewhere and you forgot the drive because it was so on autopilot that you actually forgot the driving part of it? I've done that before too. But what that is over time, we establish these neural pathways. They're actually, it's a biology thing. It's not a psychology thing. It's an actual biology. It's a chemical thing. And these neural pathways, our brains are very lazy. They're programmed to be conservation machines. And this goes way back to, caveman days. For survival, as humans, we had to conserve energy. So our brains are energy conservation machines. So they look for the easiest path to anything naturally. Now there's ways to interrupt that pattern. And one of them, there's really two ways to create a habit. One is through, repetition. So when I saw that poster in the lunch break room, in the food, like where they had the food in the break room, every single day, that started to be programmed into my head every day. I kept looking at that thing. And it was bizarre, but I look back at that as like a big turning point for me. That thing was going into my subconscious mind, and the wiring of that was happening without me even trying to, and with actually me resisting it. It's actually probably better that I resisted it, because I had emotion on the thing. Therefore, it was actually probably implanted stronger, if that makes sense. So anyway, there's two ways to create a habit. One is through repetition, and the other is through emotional impact, emotional response. And when you think about emotional response, like if you're a little kid and you put your hand on a hot stove, that gives you an emotional response. You'll never do that again if it hurts bad enough. I had a George Foreman grill, and I held it a different kind of way than I normally do just the other day, and I burnt my finger. I will never hold that grill the same way. It gave me a nice sting, a good burn mark, a little like mini tattoo of a burn mark, and I won't do it the same way. Now, repetition is a way to slowly build a habit, and it takes time. The challenge with building a business is you're going to have to learn some new skills, and you're going to have to learn some new ways of thinking and some new wiring. You're going to have to develop some new wiring around some of this internet marketing and building an online business and building a really big business. And the problem is your brain is going to want to be lazy, and it's going to want to not do it, because not doing it is a lot easier than doing it. So there has to be some sort of interruption in the pattern to get you to actually do stuff. So I won't talk about that today, but we'll talk about some techniques that you can use to actually get yourself to do stuff. Have you guys ever done that? Have you ever bought a book or a program and you had really good intentions? You're like, I'm going to get this book, but it just sat there and you never read it. Does anybody have an unread book? Go ahead and put yes in the chat if you've ever bought a book and not read it. Just curious. Yes, for sure. Yes, many times. Yeah, see, that is your brain. And Sean says all the time, that's not you. That's the biology of your brain keeping you from picking up the book, because picking up the book is different than what you do every day. Unless you're an avid reader, then what you do every day is read, and there's other things in your life that are different. Anyway, Stephanie, are we good on the biology of the habits? Do you feel?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's keep moving. So anyway, where was I? Printing. Okay, so I got out of printing, and then I became a partner in a sporting goods store. It was a Play It Again sporting goods store. It was a chain of about 850 stores. I grew that store to be the #2 store out of 850. The reason I'm telling you that is I have a very strong brick and mortar business background. I've owned a couple of different brick and mortar businesses, one in shopping malls and another that was retail in strip mall. So I understand brick and mortar very well. If anybody's in the brick and mortar business or wants to build a brick and mortar business, I don't necessarily encourage that because it's a challenge these days. Things are changing, and commerce and money is flowing to the internet more and more every year. So brick and mortar is a tough gig, but I do understand it. And what happened after that? I went back to the printing company after the brick and mortar business, and I actually became a sales rep for them. The value in the sales rep position, I was a terrible sales rep. I was the worst sales rep ever. Probably because I hadn't done any sales training. They basically gave me American Express business card and said, go schmooze people and try to sell them printing. And I was good at using the credit card, but I wasn't very good at selling. Not a good idea to give a 20-something-year-old kid an expense account with a credit card. And a couple of, and Las Vegas was one of my territories, and the Bay Area was the other one. Anyway, it was bad. And then I stopped doing that. It was in May of 2000. 9/11 happened, and my Vegas business dried up. And then the dot-com bust happened in May of 2000, and then my Bay Area business, and I was making no money. And in 2001 was kind of the end of me. And in that year, I lost all my money. I didn't really have much anyway. I wasn't making anything much before. But I mean, when I say I lost it all, I didn't have $20. I got divorced to my ex-wife, and I had 3 people die in my family in the same week. And that changed everything for me. That was the hardest thing that I've ever been through. And it was the greatest gift I've ever gotten. And what I mean by that is, so the 3 people that died, one was my aunt, but she was more than my aunt. She was like my mom. Like I didn't connect with my parents. They were kind of out there. And when everything happened in my younger years, my aunt was the one that was there for me. She died of cancer when we were at the funeral, not actually at the funeral, but in town for the funeral. My grandpa died. And in between, I had another aunt die. So in 7 days, I lost 3 people, 2 of which I was really, really tight with. And it created one of those, like, I can't describe it as anything other than a God moment. I still remember where I was at. And I just thought, you know what I'm doing is not working. The life I'm living, these bullshit jobs, the crap I was doing, the drinking, I was drinking a lot. All the things that I did, all the habits that I had were not serving me. And it was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something different. And I made a decision. And it wasn't one of those like, oh, my goal is to build a business. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something different. And I don't think, the thing that I remember about that is the comfort zone is a crazy dangerous thing. And it's almost worse. The benefit, the blessing was I lost everything and I had nothing, which means I had nothing to lose. And then people that have something to lose are in the worst place possible sometimes, because they fear that thing that they lose is they feel they have the illusion that they're going to lose something if they try to go for something. Well, what if I lose money? What if it doesn't work? What if people laugh at me? And after that happened, I didn't care anymore, And I'll never forget, I met my wife, Dina, my current wife, not too long after that. And we'd been dating like probably 4 or 5 weeks. And she says to me, I've heard you say that you wanted to start selling stuff on the internet. She said, why don't you? She goes, look at you. She said, you can't go any lower than you are right now. And it was like the meanest thing ever, but it was the biggest blessing. She has a way of saying stuff that comes across just, anybody know anybody, like whatever they come out of their mouth, they mean well, but it sounds really harsh. It sounded really harsh, but it was the truth. I had nothing to lose. So my friend Amanda, I owed my friend Amanda $800. And my friend Andy, who was actually a girl, Andy owed me $800. So I got $800 from Andy, and I called Amanda and I said, hey, can I pay you in 30 days? And at that point in time, I had nothing. I didn't have $20. I actually remember where I spent my last $20. It was at Chipotle. I knew that 2 burrito bowls and 2 Pacificos were exactly $19.32. And I had $20. And I remember giving my $20 and I told Dina, I go, that is my last $20. She goes, wow. So Dina definitely didn't marry me for my money because I had nothing. So anyway, I took the $800, I bought some bats and I sold them on eBay and I made $500. And this is the one and only time that my finance degree came through for me. This is the only time I'm grateful for the college education. I thought, oh my God, I just made $500 in a week on $800 in capital. That is an insane rate of return in an insane amount of time. And Dina, I told Dina, I go, Dina, you don't understand. Like when I took finance in college, they talked about rates of return of like 10% per year, 15% per year being great. This is, a 40, 50% return in a week. And she said, can you build a spreadsheet for me? Can you make a spreadsheet and tell me if we don't touch the money, how much money will that be in 3 years? And I said, okay, I'll build the spreadsheet. Now I happen to have rebuilt the spreadsheet for you guys today, and I'm going to give it to you. So you have it, so you can play around with numbers. And what I figured out, according to the spreadsheet, I assumed that I was going to get, let me pull the spreadsheet up. I'm going to give this to you. Whoops, maybe not. Hang on one second. Oh, here we go. I assumed that I was going to get a 10% rate of return after expenses. I assumed that I was going to turn my money twice in a month and get a 10% rate of return. Okay. I'll share my screen and then I'll show you, I'll give you the spreadsheet. Okay. Share screen. Okay. Let me know if you can see it. Let me get all this Zoom stuff out of the way. All right. So here's what the spreadsheet looked like. I had my starting capital in box B2, $800, rate of return, 10%, year 1 revenue, year 2 revenue, year 3 revenue. I go, Dina, in year 3, we're going to do over $3 million in revenue. And she goes, okay, I want in. I go, well, it's going to cost you $1,300. So I made Dina buy in for $1,300. I had the original $800 plus my $500 in profit. I had $1,300. She needed to put up capital in the deal. And our year 1 revenue was $600,000. We blasted what this sheet said. Our year 2 revenue was 1.1 million. Our year 3 revenue was 3.35 million. So it went just about like this. It was a little heavier at the front and a little lighter at the back. But we did over 3.3 million within 3 years, just like the spreadsheet said. Now I want to give you the spreadsheet because one of the things that's really important is that you plan for success. How much do you want to make? Because let me tell you, when you make $88 in a month, is it exciting? Like if you made $88 this month, would it be exciting to you? Would it change your life? Wait, let me get the chat up. Whoops, I lost the chat. There's the chat. Would $88 change your life? How would you feel? No. Would it be possible? No. Alice says no. Anybody else want to chime in? Is it possible that if you made $88 that you could be discouraged and say, wow, this isn't working? Is it possible that you could be discouraged if you only made $88? Not really. Yes. I'd wonder what I was doing. Yeah. But see, how this sheet helped me was this was my plan. This was where I was going. And when I only made a little bit of money at the beginning on certain things, I was like, that's okay, because that's part of the plan. That's how it works, because I knew down here it was big money. And sure enough, it was big money. One of the biggest mistakes I see with people that want to start businesses, especially online businesses, is they give up too soon. The biggest deal is the first dollar you make. If you're just getting started, I know there was somebody that was just getting started. If you make $1, you should celebrate and just be like, oh my God, I'm on my way. The beautiful thing about the internet is, we started sportscloseouts.com in 2002, and nobody knew that we were doing it off the living room floor. Like, the internet is a great equalizer. Nobody can tell what the size of your business is. They have no idea. Big businesses look just the same as small businesses. If you set up your website right, like the Brandontize people do, the way they're going to teach you how to set up stuff is unbelievable. They are world class at what they do, like best I've ever seen at setting up social media presences. They have systems and operating procedures and all these things that you're going to learn that you're going to love. Alice said, that's true. I was happy with my first sale on Amazon. Good for you. Yeah, that first sale is exciting. And then watching it grow is very exciting. So let me give you this link. Hang on one second. Let me share screen off. Whoops. That's not what I'm supposed to do. I just bought Final Cut last night and did a video. Hang on a second. All right, I lost the thing. I got multiple windows up. Here you can see I was shopping in the App Store. Back to the meeting. I think this is it. Okay. How do I stop share? There we go. All right, we're back. All right, let me get this link, and I'm going to put this. So what you want to do is, if you want this link, I'm going to put it in the chat. Wait. Here's the link to the sheet. Go ahead and make a copy of it. I made it so you can comment on it if you want, so I welcome your comments on it. But all you got to do is just load it up and then make a copy, and then it's yours. And then if you want to play with it, that spreadsheet assumes 2 turns in a month, meaning you're going to turn your money twice in a month. That isn't practical for most businesses. I just happened to do it because I was doing online auctions, and everything started at $1 and everything sold. It took me 7 days to sell it, and it took me 7 days to get paid. That's why I used 2 turns in a month. And the crazy thing about money is the compounding of money is a beautiful thing when it's working for you and not against you. You know, if we have credit card debt and other debt, it can work against us. But when you're the one that's doing the compounding, it's a lot of fun. So anyway, 3.3 million within 3 years. In 2007, we accepted the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Webby Awards, which was crazy. The other people that were there were David Bowie, accepted it as well, the Beastie Boys, and the founders of YouTube. I mean, it was just like crazy. Like Dean and I were pinching each other. We're like, dude, we were on the living room floor 5 years ago. But the internet is just an amazing place. It takes time to get good at it, but there's so much opportunity, and it's only gotten easier since we started. When we started, it was a lot harder. Some of the stuff you can do and some of the tools that are available make it a lot easier. And, you know, like when I look at what my biggest gift is, when I look back at that eBay business, it started on eBay, then we went to Overstock, Amazon, and then our own website. So we had a full e-commerce business that was selling all over the place on multiple sites all over. But one of the things that I look back at that business, and one of the biggest blessings, was learning how to write copy. Because let's say I have this water, right? And you have this water. Let's say Nikki has the water, Alice has the water, Mimi has the water, you know, Sean has the water, Bjorn has the water, Ron has the water. We all are selling the same water, right? Who's going to sell the water and for how much? And the beauty of eBay was I was selling the same products as everybody else. I was buying brand name stuff. I wasn't doing any of this China drop shipping stuff. That didn't exist back then. We were buying products from manufacturers. Other big box retailers were selling the same stuff. But the way that we won was with our copy and with the messaging, and the way we talked to people was different. And the way we connected with our customers was different. And there's a way of writing copy that causes conversion, and a way of talking to people that causes them to buy. That you will learn from me in this program. That is something I got really, really good at, and I am really, really good at. Because what Branditize will do, it'll show you all the technical aspects of how to build all these things, but then what goes in those things? What's the messaging? How do you talk to people? How do you connect with people? You know, we'll go over avatars. We'll go over who is your perfect customer. We'll avoid all the mistakes that most people make. Most people speak one-to-many. They speak as if they're talking to a crowd. I never do that. I speak as though I'm talking to one person. And when I sit down and write copy, I'm connecting with that person. How can I grow that person in their life? How can I bring them to a better place with whatever it is that I have to offer? And if that comes through in my copy, they'll buy. And they won't be manipulated either, because my message will be sincere, it'll be authentic, and it'll resonate with the right people. Does that make sense? People write copy, I see it all the time, and it's like, blah-de-blah, my stuff's the best, buy me, you know, and then the next day it's like, hey, only 24 hours before you left until you can lose the opportunity to buy me. 2 more hours to go until you lose the chance to buy me. Do you know what I mean? It's like you see all that all the time, right? They use scarcity in such a cheesy way. I use scarcity, and you're going to learn that too, by the way. Scarcity, it's a great tactic. But there's a way to do scarcity that's cool. You know, we'll go over Cialdini's seven areas of influence, you know, and the psychology of conversion, stuff like that. I'm really good at. But I think I got good at it from literally writing thousands of product descriptions in our e-commerce business. I was like, okay, I got this water, you got this water, game on. Let's see who can write the best copy. So when I think about this water, this isn't just water. This is alkaline water. And the thing about this alkaline water is it actually takes your body and turns it from an acidic state to an alkaline state, which no disease can happen in an alkaline state. And the great thing is when you're healthy and you've drank this water and it's in its alkaline state, it's going to allow you to do all the things that you want to do. You're going to be able to go to the park and play with your kids or grandkids. You're going to be able to enjoy dates with your spouse because you're not dead. You know, I'm playing right now, but I'm being kind of sarcastic in a way too. But do you see what I'm talking about? It's not just water. It's what can you do with the water? How will it make them feel? What would, you know, the key words you're going to learn when we talk about copy are so you can. So you can. If you want something to practice now, if you're writing copy, there's features and there's benefits. One of the biggest mistakes I see when people are writing copy is they talk about the features, but they don't talk about the benefits, and they don't expand on the benefits enough. Okay? So you can always add a so you can and play that out until you can't play it out anymore to play around. Okay? So if I'm going to play around with so you can, I drink this water because I'm thirsty. It's alkaline water, so I can avoid disease, which will allow me to go outside and be in nature, which will bring me peace and harmony so that I can live my life's purpose and discover the meaning of life so that I can have the best life ever. So you just play it out. And that's called an imagine frame. An imagine frame is where you create the picture for somebody. You know, I'm just going to play with this for a minute. Give me your product in the chat. Give me some products that you sell, and I'll just make some stuff up. And you'll see. A hammock. Oh, I love hammock. Massage. That's even better. Hammock and massage, two great things. Jewelry. All right. I'm not a jewelry person. I only have a Fitbit on because I need it. I'll get into that in a minute. But okay, so let's talk about a massage. So actually what I should do is have you, what are some benefits of massage? Like, so, so rather than me come up with it, why don't you guys, Alice, talk about your hammock for a minute. What are the benefits? Now, not the features. The features are it's made of this thread. It has this pattern. It hangs from the tree like this or this. What are the benefits? And then play it out. Alice says, sleep better and relax, which will allow you to do what? If you sleep better and relax, what will happen? Okay, true story that sleep is a major factor in being able to override your patterns of behavior and your neural pathways. If you're tired, you have almost no chance of creating success. So Alice, your hammock isn't just a hammock. It creates relaxation and better rest. So you can overcome the thought patterns that you have and the dendrites that you have, which will allow you to start a business, which will produce millions of dollars in income, and it'll allow you the opportunity to go to Bora Bora and sit on the beach and walk around in a, coconut bikini. I'm just like playing, but do you see how you play it out? Okay. All right. You got the idea. And then Bjorn, I am selling aviation safety. And then you gave that question again. Bjorn, you need to play it out. What are the fits? So you can what? So you can not have a crash and die, basically. But you want to come up with some, you know, what are the benefits of your product? You know, it's certainty. It's peace of mind. That's what you're selling. You're not selling aviation safety. You're selling peace of mind and certainty. And the ability to travel and be relaxed, knowing that you're safe. Do you see the difference? It's not like, you know, global aviation industry being airlines, airports, all that stuff is like super robotic language. Get into the feeling, get into what are the emotions you're going to experience. Okay. Horse saddles, that's a good one. Horse saddles should be easy, you know, because that's such a cool activity. You know, our horse saddles are made from super awesome leather, which allows you to ride longer because you don't get chapped in your whatever. I better stop because I don't know anything about saddles, but I could make stuff up. Anyway, do you guys get the idea? Again, massage will make you healthier, live a longer life, reduce stress. And by the way, did you know that stress causes all kinds of illnesses? You know, like if you get a massage once a week, your chances of a heart attack will go way down because you'll be more relaxed. So really, I'm not giving you a massage. I'm saving your life. I'm being dramatic on purpose to prove the point. I wouldn't actually say that, but you get the idea. And Katya, protect horses from long-term damage. Oh my God, yes, there you go, because people love their animals. I love my dog. I have a Newfoundland. He's big. He looks like a bear. He's a big black dog. I love that dog. If there was a product that allowed him to live longer, I would buy it, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, so you get the idea. So the e-commerce business was great because I had to learn how to write copy. 2008, I started an information business, an education business. That went really, really well. We did 1.7 million the first year, 4.8 million the second year. We were on pace to do about 6-7 million the third year. And then I had a partnership implosion. I had a partner that decided he wanted all the money and not half the money. That was a bummer. I learned a lot about resentment and how destructive resentment and how much time it wastes. I probably wasted 4 or 5 years of my life after that, sitting around being stupid, calling it time off. I was like, I'm just taking time off right now. You know, we have a beach house in Hawaii. I was sitting at my beach house going, yeah, this is on purpose. I'm not hurt. I'm not offended. I'm not resentful. And then I'm having these tense moments of, oh my God, that bastard, you know, like every 10 minutes, the brain would play this like, you know, I can say that I'm over it now. Thank God. And then 2012, I started a website called motivation.net. That's been a lot of fun. And then in 2 years ago, my life changed drastically. Would you guys want to do an exercise that I've done before? It's kind of a heavy exercise. We can do it or not do it. I'm cool either way. But it might be helpful, might not be. But it's around, I'm getting yeses. You guys open? Let's do it. Okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to get a pen and paper out, okay? Because you're going to be writing. And here's how I want to cue this up. You just got a call from the hospital, okay? Just got a call from a hospital. And your lab results are in, and it's bad. And they said, I'm so sorry, but you only have 15 minutes to live. Unfortunately, your phone's out of battery, so you can't call anybody. All you can do is write on that paper. That's all you got. So what I want to do is I want to give you 15 minutes to say your goodbyes. Who do you want to say goodbye to, and what do you want to tell them? So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer and go. Bjorn said repeat. So Bjorn, you just got to call the exercises. You just got to call from the hospital. Your test results are in. You only got 15 minutes to live. Okay. And what you need to do is grab a pen and paper and say your goodbyes. Your phone doesn't work. Nobody's with you. What are you going to tell your family and friends? And you got 15 minutes. I'll leave the timer right here. Don't worry about it.
Your screen is off.
It's what?
Your phone.
Oh. Okay, stop. Put your pens down. Or pencils, whatever you're writing with. Okay, you're dead. Did you think you had more time? You thought you had 15 minutes and we went about a minute and 10 seconds. And the reason I did that, it's an exercise that I had done to me a long time ago and I've done it before. This is the first time I've ever done that exercise though, where I actually had life-threatening situations that I actually went through. I would do that exercise and it was always, to be honest with you, bull crap. I actually watched a video of me doing this exercise on motivation.net and I looked at it and I thought, you're so full of crap. You have no idea what it's like to truly face death. I was laughing at myself from a video that I did 4 years ago. 2 years ago, I had a pulmonary embolism. It was at night and I felt like somebody had a rope tied around my chest. And it felt like somebody was stabbing me in the back with a knife right back here. So every time it was super painful. And being the dumb, idiotic, stupid guy that I am, I blamed it on the Mexican food, of course. And I didn't go to the hospital and I was writhing in pain all night. And the next day I had just launched a new campaign that day, the day that it happened, and it was killing it. It was like one of the most successful campaigns I've ever done. Like the leads were popping in. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I said, but I feel like crap. I did all of my calls the next day, and I had a gap between 3 and 4 o'clock the next day. And I went to urgent care. I was like, I got to go to urgent care. This is not good. I'm in pain. I can't breathe. Which I figured were a bad combo. Like finally I went to urgent care and the doctor says to me, you know, he said, my equipment, I can't tell what's wrong with you, but if it is, I think it is, you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, oh really? When? Right now. Hospital. And he coached me. He goes, when you go in, say, hey, I'm having a possible PE, and they'll bring you right in. And sure enough, I said, hey, the urgent car said I'm having a pulmonary embolism, and I was in, like they were like, you know, getting my information on the gurney as they brought me in. And I got a CT scan of my chest. I have blood clots everywhere. Not one, I had them everywhere. And I had what's called a deep vein thrombosis. So I broke my leg playing hockey, and then my broken leg started becoming a blood clot factory. I had them everywhere. 30% of the people that have what I had die instantly, and another 30% die in the next 30 days. So they told me, they said, you know, there's a chance you're going to die. And I was like, oh my God. I hadn't talked to my daughter in 6 months. She was pissed off at me. Sorry. And I remember thinking, oh my God, if I die and I don't talk to my daughter, she's going to feel like shit for the rest of her life. So all I could think about was that. The other thing I thought about too was the phrase, thy will be done, not my will be done. I was stressed for about 5 seconds. I'm serious. So it wasn't something that the first thing was fear. The fear lasted 5 seconds. And then the words just came to my head. It was like, thy will be done, not my will be done. And I was super relaxed. So that video I made 4 or 5 years ago is a total bunch of crap. I'm actually going to delete that thing because it's not the way it actually happens. At least it's not the way it happens for me. So I had a pulmonary embolism 2 years ago. And then 4 months ago, I was playing hockey. And so anyway, I had the pulmonary embolism. They put me on blood thinners. The blood thinners made me super tired. I had no energy. I was on like heavy doses of Xarelto. All I wanted to do is lay around and sleep. One of the things that happens when, well, for me, being an entrepreneur takes energy. Like it isn't something that can be done half awake and half asleep. And what ended up happening was that's when I kind of went from being like having my own businesses and being an entrepreneur to kind of being a hired gun. And then people would hire me to come in and fix their businesses when they weren't converting. So I'd be brought in on businesses that were doing like $5-10 million in revenue and help them get to 15, 20 because I didn't have the energy to do it on my own. And that was actually great. And then 4 months ago, I had a heart attack. I was playing hockey on a Saturday night, and it was weird because I was playing against people that I should dominate, and I wasn't. And I was having a sluggish, I was out of breath, and I was like, man, this is crazy. And I was driving home from hockey, and I felt pressure in my chest, and my wrists and hands were tingly. And I was like, that's a sensation I've never felt. And when I went in for the scan, when they brought me in, they're like, yeah, you're having a heart attack. The initial diagnosis was it was my upper left down ventricle or whatever it's called that feeds the left chamber of the heart. It's the bad one. It's the widow. They're like, you got the, bottom line is I might have had the widowmaker. And that was another experience where I was like, wow, so twice in the last 2 years, I've had experiences where death wasn't just a possibility. It was a pretty high probability outcome. If you stack them both together, I'm just lucky to be alive. I'm so grateful to be alive. It's not even funny. I feel like I'm just, there's a reason and a purpose. I'm here. I have no idea why, but I've dodged 2 bullets. But the reason for the exercise is we think we have all this time and we don't. The truth is we don't know when it's going to happen. I remember when I was being wheeled in, there's no better feeling than being wheeled in and seeing the lights of, those bright fluorescent lights of the hospital coming down the hallways. They're about to wheel you into a procedure to find out how bad it is. And, and I've learned a lot in the last 4 months about like heart disease. They call it the silent killer. And, I've learned about, LDL and HDL and all this stuff. And the truth is, like, a lot of this stuff is hereditary too. Like it doesn't happen to be hereditary in my family. That's the other thing. In my family, everybody lives forever. Everybody lives to 90. So I had this like perception that I was going to live forever, even though I did this BS exercise about, put your pens down, you're dead. The truth is, until it happens, you don't know. And what I would say is, the point of that is to live every day as if it's your last day on earth. Imagine if you lived every single day and you communicated with your family in a way that you communicated how you care about them, like you started to do on that paper. What if you did that every day? What would that do for your life? And the great thing too is you want to live every day like it's your first day as well. Whatever happened in the past doesn't matter. If you tried online stuff and failed, it doesn't matter. Today's a brand new day and you have a brand new support system. You've never worked with Brian before in this way. I know this because he's never done this. Branded Ties has never done this either. I've done this before, but for individual clients and for a hell of a lot of money. So you have a support system around you to really do something special. And I would encourage you to make a decision to do something great. Don't have a goal of just making a little bit of money. Have a goal of doing something that's just outrageously amazing that you can look back on and say, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I look back at what I've accomplished in business and I've hit the over. Like I was an $8 an hour guy in a printing factory. Like I just, I can't believe what's happened over the years. And if it wasn't for those people dying in my family, it wouldn't have happened. I can say that for a fact. It gave me the whatever I needed to make a decision. So if you take anything away from today, what I'm hoping that you get from today is to make a decision to kick ass. Make a decision to fully engage in the program, and make a decision to make lots of mistakes, because the process of building businesses and making more money is a process of failure. You know, if I get a page that gets a 3% or 4% conversion rate, I'm dancing. You know, 5%, forget it. You know, it's going to make millions. So that means I'm failing 95, 96, 97% of the time. You know, if I send out an email and I get a 20% conversion open rate, I'm like, oh my God, that's an 80% failure rate. Is amazing. If the 20% of the people that open that email, let's say 30% of them click, meaning 2 out of 3 don't, I'm ecstatic. So this whole process of building it, when we started the e-commerce business, it was a process of failure. We didn't know what we were doing. And when you're growing that fast, like, stuff breaks. We're like, oh my God, we don't have enough people to get these many packages out every day. What do we do? Oh, well, we figure out we came up with bin locations and automation, and all this stuff came out of necessity. It didn't come out of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to automate stuff? No, it was necessity. It was like, we're drowning. You know, there was failure every part of the way. You know, and I told you at the beginning that I've failed. I failed a lot, you know, and, you know, with campaigns too, sometimes stuff doesn't work, and sometimes you got to retool the campaign and do something different and pivot, and that's okay. So the people that create the most success, in my opinion, are the people that fail the fastest and the most often. You know, there's a book called The Lean Startup, which is a great book, and you don't have to buy it. I'm going to give you the whole book, The Lean Startup, in a couple of sentences. In The Lean Startup, what they say is they talk about reiteration and how fast you make changes. And the faster you reiterate, the quicker you get to your desired result. So if let's just say we're going to talk about Facebook ads. I'm going to show you how to do Facebook ads and Instagram and all that stuff. If we're doing Facebook ads, you can literally spend $5 and learn something, pivot, make a change, and keep going and spend $5 more, and you can make 10 changes in a day. Or you can make 1 change a week. Who wins? If one person's making 10 changes in a day, another person's making 1 in a week, who wins? The person that's learning 10 times each day. So I would encourage you to fail, and fail quickly. And that would be your recipe for success in this program, in my opinion. So anyway, that's my life. And I appreciate you guys being here. And if any of you had any questions, I would be happy to answer them, because, and sorry for those of you that only blocked out an hour that I went over. In general, and Nikki, I am so sorry that you had to go through brain surgery. That doesn't sound fun at all. Anybody have any questions? I really just wanted to kind of figure out where you're at, and then kind of give you my background and skills so you know what you're going to get from me. When I look at this program, the thing that I think I bring to the table is the conversion aspect. Branditize is world class at creating all these assets, you know, building pages and the social media presence. I don't do any social media other than spending money. My social media is I spend money on ads. But they have a lot of different stuff. And what I'm going to be able to do is help you put the right things in the right buckets that'll cause people to buy from you, if that's what you want. Or if your business is something else. You know, the truth is selling anything is the same. There's no difference, whether it's saddles, hammocks, massages, all these different things, or airport safety. All of it's the same. It's the same process. You have a customer that you need to connect with and communicate with and move them through a process that creates conversion and creates cash for you. And Baraket asks, what if I try to focus on content and want others to do the promotion? What best can I help? You know, that's a good question. I think that'll get into the content part of it, and how to drive traffic through content as a Branditize skill set, not mine. What I do is I create content and I spend money to push that content out to a lot of people. But then there's more to it, which we'll get on in later episodes. It's like, okay, what does that content lead to? And what is the structure of the whole funnel? Because we're going to talk about sales funnels and how we move people from being strangers to being friends. For example, when we got on, I was a stranger. We've been on now for an hour and 15 minutes, I think. Does it feel different? Do I feel like a stranger as much as I did an hour and 15 minutes ago? And this is a question. Does it feel different now? Do I feel as much a stranger as I was an hour and 15 minutes ago? It feels different, right? So I want you to think of it that way. Okay, you're approaching people who don't know you. They don't like you. They don't care about you. And then the reason they don't like you is not because they don't like you. It's because they don't know you, so there's nothing to like. You're a stranger. So how do we take them from being strangers to being raving fans where they're your biggest advocate and they're referring other people? That's the process that we'll go through. Okay? Thanks, Mimi. I appreciate you being here. But yeah, if you have takeaways, I'd love for you to put takeaways in the chat. That's really good. Thanks, Bjorn. Bjorn's takeaway, because that helps everybody. Again, being others focused, a great way to be others focused is to say what you got out of this, because what you got out of it, somebody else might not have. So if you want to be others focused right now, put what your takeaway is from the session. Bjorn says, my takeaway was, there's always great safety improvements in aviation after major accidents. It's not actually what I thought it was, but your story clarified it today. Good. That's awesome. Mimi says, you're my new best friend. Your story resonates with me. Well, Mimi, you're my new best friend too, so I can't wait to get to know you through this program. Ron says, want to share a little of your experience with the brain. I'm not sure what experience you want me to share beyond just how dendrites work and how the brain chemistry works, but I'd be happy to tell you anything that I know if you give me a more specific question, if that's okay. Alice, Imagine Frame. She got the Imagine Frame. Imagine Frames are so powerful. I was helping John Assaraf, and John Assaraf is like the king of the Imagine Frame. If you ever watch one of his Facebook Lives, he's using them a lot, or watch his sales video. The other thing I want you guys to do is watch these sales videos, and don't watch it as like, I'm here to be sold something. Watch for psychology. So you now know a piece of psychology known as an Imagine Frame. Start looking for them, because what will happen is when you go through this program, you're going to start to learn all these techniques, and then you're going to see like a Geico commercial, and you're going to be like, oh, there's a pattern interrupt. Step one, pattern interrupt, boom. Now they're doing this, multiple locations, blah, blah, blah. There's a formula for all of this. And when you start to recognize it, it'll be funny, because you'll never watch TV the same. Nothing will be the same for you. You're going to be like, oh, well, this is, especially the drug commercials. They move to different locations. We'll talk about that. Different locations build trust. So they're bringing you through different locations to try and build trust with you and rapport. It's really funny. Layla says, I have competition in the massage industry and I'm struggling to get clients. I believe through this program that you will. Now here's the thing. I don't think from a competitive mindset. I think from a place of creation. And at the same time, your competition is going to wonder what the heck you're doing, Layla. They're going to be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Because you're going to be so busy. Because this stuff works. And there's no doubt that it works. It totally works. And then being small there's a big advantage to being small over being big. Big companies move slow. Small companies and individuals and solopreneurs move fast. So you can definitely make yourself the envy of your competition. So we'll make that our goal, Layla, is that your massage business is thriving with an abundance of clients, so much so that you need to get a bigger location or find other massage therapists or something, because you're just like, I can't handle all these people. What am I going to do with them? Have like a number system. Baraket says, I love helping people reprogram their limiting beliefs. That's why I need to learn digital marketing so they can prosper. So allow them to Bora Bora. I love it. All right. Mimi says, how can I prepare for the next session? The next session, I believe, is actually Brian, isn't it? August 2nd. The next session's Brian. Do we know what Brian's going to be talking about?
Let me check.
I'm excited to get Brian's book in the mail. Brian's book will be coming, I believe, in just a week or two. And then Stephanie's checking to see if she knows what Brian's going to talk about. Oh, I completely left Brian. Can I tell you really quick my Brian story? I can't believe I forgot that. Are you guys, do you have just like 2 minutes for Brian's story? Okay. All right. So I can't believe I missed this. This is crazy. Okay. So when the key part of the spreadsheet was when Dina asked me to make the spreadsheet, she said, what would happen if we didn't touch the money? So in order to not touch the money and not pay ourselves for that business and let all the product and inventory roll over and multiply, we had to find a way to make money. I got Brian Tracy's Psychology of Selling. I was selling screen printing equipment at home and garden shows. So Dina, my wife, she would screen print the t-shirts and get people to show up for a workshop, and then I would do the workshop and sell the screen printing equipment. I listened to Psychology of Selling probably 500 times. And I would do all the stuff in there. I remember I was like, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. All these little things that Brian said to do. And I'll never forget this one time I was trying to sell this. It was like a $16,000 package this person was talking about. And I remember Brian saying in the Psychology of Selling, once you do this, the next person that talks loses. And I remember I was sitting there across from this couple, and it felt like an eternity. It was probably 45 seconds of silence. And it felt like 10 hours of silence. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to die right now. But if I say anything, I lose the deal. And I just sat there in terrified silence. So Brian Tracy's Psychology of Selling allowed me to sell and make some money while I let the sporting goods business money roll over and roll over and roll over. So without him and his program, I don't know what would have happened back then. So I'm a huge fan, and he's such a nice guy. Like just a beautiful human being. Crazy. I met him for the first time probably 5-6 months ago in person. You know, I'd seen him from, you know, I'd seen him on stages, you know, I'd been in audiences where he spoke, but I'd never met him. And here's what amazed me about Brian. I met him, and I was just one of the people in the crowd. He didn't know my background. He didn't know anything about me. And I said, you know, hi, I'm Lanny. And then like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I see him in the office here at Branditize, and I go, hi. And I'm assuming that I got to introduce myself to him. And he looks at me and he goes, hi, Lanny, how are you? And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that he remembered my name. Like, he's that kind of guy. He's a genuinely good person, which is really cool. So yeah, love his information. I bought everything of his back in the day. I had cassette tapes all over the place of all Brian's stuff. You know, I started listening to it in 2002, and I bought every cassette tape he had. That's kind of dates when I was listening to it. It was all cassettes. I know somebody said like 86 or 96 early in the webinar. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I'm excited about this journey with you. Next session with me will be more tactical. I'm going to go through a series of steps. And if you guys want to give me feedback in the Facebook group on what you want to learn first, I would be happy to go in the direction you guys want to go. Okay? So the reason I wanted to give you a lot of backstory and some of my skill set is so you can tell me, hey, this is what I really need. If you don't, I'm going to probably bring you just through the process of conversion first, because that's kind of central to everything we do, which is getting to know your customers, understanding what makes them tick, and really developing your avatar and who you're speaking to. That's probably what, if you guys are cool with it, that's probably what I'll do next, is let's really dive in on who you're talking to so that you can talk to them the way that I told you, one-to-one. You're talking to one person. Because here's the thing, I can tell you all these strategies and all these things to do, but if you don't get the copywriting down and you don't understand how to talk to your customer, you're in trouble. nothing will work. So we'll probably do that first if it's okay with you guys. And then Layla says she tried to join Facebook, but it says still pending. Stephanie, can you make sure she gets in the group? All right, Layla, we're on that. We're going to get you in the group. Michael says developing your avatar sounds like a great topic. And I might talk my wife into being on that session because she is like the avatar queen. She is so good at that. She's like world class. She's much better than I am. So if you guys are cool with that, I'll have her work with me on that because she's so good at that. And then support says that's Stephanie. Support is Stephanie. She's awesome. Thanks, Stephanie, for your support. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it a day and go ahead and get into Southern California traffic here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to all us hanging out either in Bora Bora or in the Bahamas when this is all said and done, and you guys all have ridiculously big businesses, if that's okay with you. All right, bye-bye. Thanks again.